So, you want to mix quad track guitars that you recorded with your amp sims. Why, by golly, are you in luck today? Now, the problem you are most likely running into is that you have quad track guitars and they all have the exact same guitar tone. This is a problem for three crucial reasons. The first reason is you've quadded the same frequency profile. It's the identical guitar tone 4 times, filling the same space. Any problem that you have in the guitar tone is now 4 times worse. All of that frequency profile of your guitar tone is 4 times louder. It's going to make it much harder to mix. The second problem is you're going to have phase-related issues. Because it's the same guitar tone with the same settings 4 times over, these frequencies are ironically fighting against each other, which contributes to that washy or muddy sound. Now, when you think about it, it all makes sense. It's the same guitar tone in the same frequency area, and it all wants that space, right? Which leads to the third problem. It's an ironic lack of stereo width. They say quad tracking is supposed to make the guitars fatter and wider, right? Well, it certainly makes things fatter, but wider? Again, it's the same frequency profile stacked 4 times in the same spot. So not only are you running into a lack of clarity and washiness, ironically, they're not that much wider. Kind of weird, eh? So how do we fix it? Well, it's all about opposites. For example, tone A could be more mid-focused, maybe a bit darker up in the treble and the presence, whereas tone B would be the exact opposite. And then when you put them together, you would get an overall blended guitar tone that's like the best of both worlds. Now, to accomplish that today, I'm going to use 2 Aurora DSP plugins because Dan is sponsoring today's video, and Dan from Aurora DSP is fucking awesome. And not only does he make awesome plugins, he's just an all-around awesome dude. So big shout out to Dan for sponsoring today's video. I've already done a review about the Diamond Sound, and TLDR, it's awesome. And obviously, we can't go wrong with a chainsaw distortion pedal, can we? The first step is we are going to develop just a good guitar tone, a good overall guitar tone that could stand on its own. And then we are going to use the chainsaw plugin to kind of like fill in the gaps, to try to fill it out and make it a little bit wider. I think you're going to be pretty surprised by the process here and the results. And so with that in mind, we're going to start developing the good guitar tone here with Diamond Sound. Last thing I want to say before we actually do this is you should have basic drum and bass tones at the ready. It'll make it easier to create the guitar tones in context, all right? So when I press play here, we just have a sexy DI. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna skip to right here. And I kind of want this chug chug part so that I can have a good idea of what's happening with the chug chug low end not issues, but what the bass is doing. I by far prefer the 100 watt here. I just think it sounds pretty cool. So we'll switch to the 100 watt, and I'm just gonna go through my process here. I can't really explain everything because this video will be an hour long. So just kind of watch, and if you have any questions, leave comments. Okay, so I have a pretty good, decent guitar tone here. Overall, sounds good. So we have a pretty good idea of how it sounds when it's chugging. Let's see what we get when we are doing some more like tremolo style stuff. Cool, sounds pretty good. So it's a little bit crunchy, but it has that twang to it. Definitely has like more of a black and roll type of sound. But it's not the tightest thing in the world, which it's not supposed to be. So let's go to the EQ here. Maybe there's something that's already pretty annoying that we can get away, like we can take out of the tone. Yeah, there's definitely that we can take out. And I have to be honest, I kind of really don't do a lot of EQ on individual guitar tones. So this stands as a pretty good, just great sounding guitar tone. And when we put it in the mix here, maybe a bit loud. Okay, sounds pretty good. Also, by the way, I just want to point out, this is kind of like a 50% mixed idea, but I thought it made more sense to show you what the guitar tone process would be from where I would actually do it in real life, which would be at this point. All right, so now the fun really begins. Let's go ahead and get the chainsaw in here. More or less unremarkable, nothing that amazing. Now, keeping in mind what we have with this guitar tone, we kind of want to blend this into that. So let's see if we can create something with a little bit of extra color here. So I might keep the brightness down because we have a pretty fair amount on the actual guitar tone. We can add more gain here because the other guitar tone is pretty low on the gain, so we're not gonna lose too much articulation. But then again, this particular guitar riff, it's got a lot of space in it. We're not doing a lot of whole like Nile style riffs. So gain, pay attention to what is happening with your guitar tone. The moment you lose articulation or it starts to sound too washy, check your gain. That's usually the first place to look because it's usually the main culprit. So I'm setting the gain where I still have note separation that I can hear. So this mid knob has a real papery style to it. I don't know if I'm gonna like this, but setting it up as it is right now, go with 4. And this has got more of a soft upper presence. We've got a lot of crunch on the guitar tone itself, so we kind of want to fill in more of the soft presence style of it. And I don't want to add a lot of bass. Actually sounds pretty good right there. Now, the moment of truth is this cab slider. We just can go all the way to the left or all the way to the right. So let's see what we got. So this is definitely more subdued, whereas all the way to the left, much more in your face, but we already have a guitar tone that's like that. So what I'll do from this point is I'm going to solo both of the guitar tones here, and I'm going to see if the slider does anything. Maybe having the slider at a certain position will help the guitar tones lock in together. liking it right here, just the overall vibe of it. If we boost this, see what happens. We get a lot more of the upper mid honk. Not really going to do that. So what you can do when you're doing this is you can manipulate the volume slider here. You kind of want to hear, you want to bring it up where it's too loud, obviously, to hear what's happening, to see what is happening with the original guitar tone. I wonder if we add a bit more mids, what we get. Kind of getting that honky mid frequency being reintroduced, which I really don't like. Let's switch the mid knob here, see if we get a different mid profile. It seems to have shifted down a little bit. Let's see what this does. Now it contacts everything. Sort of like the mids here, so we'll put the mids back. How that sounds, and we can mix it down pretty low. It really depends on what kind of sound that you want to go for, and it's kind of like mixing IR sliders. You know, if you want the brighter or darker IR and you're trying to find the mix between the two, and if you don't think it does much, just watch what happens when I bring the chainsaw back into the guitar tone. Even if we turn it down like -7 dB here, watch. So you can hear how we're creating a natural width, like it's just happening. We're not stacking 4 of the same guitar tones on top of each other and wondering what's going on. We have 2 different guitar tones that are coming together to create an overall sound. Let's just dial this thing just a smidge more, and then we can EQ it. Like that. Now, I know I said I don't like to EQ individual guitar parts, but that mid honk is still coming through, and it just needs to go. And this is obviously the culprit, so let's just deal with it. All right, let's have a listen now. So now what we can do is we can go to the rhythm guitar bus and we can do overall guitar EQ. Now you can just see that we have a lot of mid-range information here. So we'll do my secret guitar EQ. 400 hertz -2. Her, not a secret. So this mid section here is still building up and it's still causing an issue with the two tone, so we'll just drop it down a little. And then you can see that it's an octave higher, right? You can just see it in the EQ, so we'll take this down a little. Alright, so this is the EQ. I would consider this very simple general EQ. You see I'm not doing anything crazy, none of this shit, just basic shaping EQ. And the EQ moves itself has not changed the guitar tone, so I can A-B this. Now you can just hear it better, alright? But for the sake of the video, I'll just keep going here. One thing that I do like to do is I usually like to add a little bit of spice if it works. So I like to do a little bit of a 7K or a 10K boost with an API plugin. Seems to work here. And that is the extent of the guitar tone. Let's mix this in better. All right, there you go. Now from here, you can go back, look at your drums and look at your bass and fit everything back into the mix and just continue the mixing process from here. But I really just wanted to show you the power of taking two different amp simulators, the Diamond Sound here, and then taking something that is it's polar opposite and then mixing those two things together, and those two things create a blended guitar tone that's like the best of both worlds. Sounds wider and sounds a lot cooler. So let's see what this will sound like when we're doing some tremolo picking. So even when the guitars are a bit more busy, it's simply undeniable that the chainsaw guitars here, even though they're lower in the mix and lower than the prime guitar tone, adds that extra width and just that little extra body and a little extra spice to the guitar tone. So there you go. That is the process of how you can go about mixing quad track guitars with amp simulators. Give it a try this weekend and let me know how it goes. I have left links in the description for both the Diamond Sound and the Laboga Distortion if you would like to do like a one-to-one trial of this. They're both obviously great plugins, and once again, big thanks to Dan for sponsoring the video. I hope you enjoyed what I showed you today, and that will do it for this video. Hope you guys liked it. I will see you in the next one. Have a good one.